Ladies and gentlemen, this interview is brought to you by www.employeeescapeplan.com. And I keep sharing about this amazing guy, this amazing resource, and it is truly a one-of-a-kind for you. If you want to have more customers, pay you more money more often, Joe Nicasio is the man to help you do that. He helps you put in the principles, put in the foundational pieces, the pillars of your marketing strategy to bring in more leads, more customers, so you can build a better business and make more money. I'm all about that. I believe you are too. Make more impact, make more money, help more people, grow, and live your greatest possible self. That's what EmployeeEscapePlan.com and Joe Nicasio help you do. That's why we stand behind him and support him and his skills and abilities, because they've made a huge difference for us at Burn Up Coaching and becoming your greatest possible self. I recommend www.EmployeeEscapePlan.com. Kevin Dunlap. Kevin has been in front of small and large groups of people since the early 1990s. He started off his front-of-the-room presence as a college math teacher, which gave him the skills of teaching material while also making the topic interesting. Since then, he has been trained as a professional keynote speaker and has been on many stages. Kevin owns and operates a company called Plentiful Perspectives, which is a training company helping people build better businesses and enhance their own interpersonal relationships. He is now working diligent in helping women and men find themselves and then to allow them to be open to finding the right person to share an authentic life with their ideal mate. Kevin, you ready to rock this?
I am.
He's ready. Awesome. You are now live on Becoming Your Greatest Possible Self. Thank you so much for coming on today and sharing your time with us and our audience, man. We appreciate you.
Oh, my pleasure. I'm glad to be here.
Yes.
It's good to see you again, Chris.
Yes. We just saw each other the other day recording for Kevin's show, which is awesome. Highly, highly recommend you check it out. You're going to be able to share about that podcast in a moment. And before we get there, Kevin, we're diving straight in, going deep into today's theme, which is relationships are mirrors. And I believe you know a thing or two about relationships because you're helping men and women in interpersonal relationships. So specifically, how has the concept of relationships being a mirror to see our own blind spots, to discover more wisdom about ourself and our soul and the meaning of life, how has that showed up for you, Kevin?
Well, it's just that all the relationships that I have now are all like things that I need, things that I need to progress further. It just seems like, when I have that need that comes out, that all of a sudden that relationship shows up. It could be romantic, it could be business, it could be anything. Even like I'm even noticing this even while doing my show now. It's like all the people that I'm attracting into my life is absolutely amazing. I'm just loving it.
Wow. So how are you being the mirror, or how are they being the mirror for you specifically?
How they're being the mirror to me, I would say that gosh, that's a real difficult question. I would say how they're being the mirror to me is that they are showing me the things that I need, even though I may not know that's what I need right now, or may not be consciously aware of it. However, just the people that have been entering into my life, just even earlier today, I was just speaking with somebody that is something that I need right now. And this happens to be business related. However, it's just, we're actually going to meet up with him in about 2.5 hours. Wow. So it's just because this is something that I'm attracting. So how is it a mirror? Are you saying like, what do I see myself inside them? Or are you saying our lives, how they're kind of intermingled?
I think that there's multiple different layers and levels that this can go, and I think that's the beauty of it. When I think of a mirror, I think of when I'm triggered by someone, especially when someone irritates me, when they irk me. For me, I've had roommates, and when I was with them and they left things around, the space was cluttered, it irked me. Because I didn't like things being cluttered. I didn't like things being organized. I wanted to be, clean and have things together and pristine, and that triggered me. Or when I wasn't able to be confident and I found someone was really aggressive and it turned me off, I said, I don't like that guy's so confident, but really it was an insecurity in me. He was a mirror. This person, whoever, man or woman, would be a mirror to me, to recognize that there was this part of myself that really I wasn't at home with. I wasn't comfortable with. It might be called the shadow. It might be called, these unhealed wounds. So that's what I think of when I think of the term mirror and what we're able to see about ourselves in other people.
Okay. So I would say, because I have a lot of deep conversations with some lady friends of mine, and I mean, I was just having a conversation with my best friend Nicole, and we were talking about relationships, and she, our birthdays are 5 days apart. I mean, I'm 4 years older than she is, but our birthdays are 5 days apart. So we're the classical Pisces, right? And the very emotional style thing. And what I'm noticing that with her is that she was, and I heard you curse earlier, so she's calling me on my own bullshit, and I call her on her bullshit, and I guess. Yeah, I may not always want to hear. I mean, when I see that, like you were saying, the things that other people are doing that might irk you, like leaving the stuff laying around and you want it to be pristine. I'm very much the same way, but I also have to bite my tongue quite often. It's like, which battles am I going to pick? And with that being said, I mean, then I also look at, because I know for myself, I'm a little bit of a passive aggressive as well. I see you shaking your head. You agree?
Yep. Yeah. Just like muttered under your breath. It's like, whatever. Like I'll just like keep going. And you like sweep in the floor really hard. Or you like pick something up and throw it in a box because you're like, I'm just so jerk.
Absolutely.
But we know that expressing that communication and just letting people know how we feel is absolutely the best way, or one of the best ways that we can have ourselves be heard and communicate effectively. And I believe that's in alignment with what you do in interpersonal communication, helping businesses grow. So Kevin, why don't you tell us a little bit more about what you do and how you do it?
Okay, that question sounds very familiar to me. Well, what I do is I'm a business coach, or I call myself an entrepreneur strategist. So I look at where people are in their lives, or in their business, and it's basically what's called your point A, and where is it that you want to go. Now, usually I like to say, here's your point A, and I don't really want to look at your point B. I want to look at your point Z. Where do you want to go overall? And then we look at now how do you get from A to Z? Well, you have to go through B, C, D, E, F, and G. There's a lot of steps along the way. So that's what I try to help people do, is when they're working with their businesses, is figuring out where they are now and then where is it that they want to go, and then all the steps that are involved along the way. Now, this could be, one of your first steps could be, I need to form an LLC.
Right.
I mean, there's always so many different little steps along the way, and I'm right now. I'm still learning a lot right now. I'm learning a lot about website design, and it's so much that's involved. But that's essentially what I do. Is I see where you are, and then if you're hiring me as a coach, then we'll get together on a weekly to biweekly basis, and we'll go over the strategies that you need to in order to progress with your business.
Beautiful. I love it, man. So why don't you take us back and take our audience on a journey a little bit of what were some of the challenges, the pitfalls that you went through or avoided, the things that you went through to get to where we are today.
Are you talking about this business or previous businesses?
Just life and the biggest learning lessons to form who you are today. I
would say the real one of the biggest awakenings that I had was back in 2010, in February 2010, which would be 8 years ago this month. Actually, 8 years ago next week. Nice. And what that was, I was open. I finally was allowed myself to be open to taking a live personal growth class. Wow. And because I write about it. I wrote about it in my book before 2010. I looked at people in the self-help section of the bookstore as people like, what's wrong with you kind of thing. I mean, aren't you okay with who you are? Aren't you good enough where you are right now? So I looked at that as kind of like as a demeaning thing.
Yeah.
Which is kind of funny because now 7 years later, I wrote a book that goes into the self-help section of the bookstore. Totally. But it was actually taking that first life personal growth class. And then that opened up my eyes, of seeing things from a different perspective. That always be learning, always be open to change, always be, because otherwise, then I was just living life. I was just coasting through life back then. And this is before I even created my most recent business, the coaching business. Back then, I was a real estate investor and about to become a realtor. And then just once I took that first course, I took another course, and I took another course. Then I went to another company, took courses there. So those were where I got all the tools. That's where I learned how to do everything that I'm doing. Yeah. It's being open to admitting that I need to grow. That a lot of times before that, I would have said I probably was mentally closed off, or at least conceptually closed off to the whole concept of open-minded, or seeing things from another person's perspective. It's like, what's my way? That's the right way.
Yeah, that's what I hear is like, I don't need any help. I already know everything. I already have all the answers. I totally, me too. I've had a challenge with that. And, even for me, it was like almost stubbornness. Like, I'm stubborn to the point where I don't want to ask for help because I don't want to admit I'm wrong. And I'm stubborn because I'd rather just do it myself. It seems like, too much work, too much effort. There's a lot of worthiness. Am I enough to ask for help? Like, why am I going to go ask for help? They don't want to help me anyways, or I got to give them something. There has to be some kind of exchange for them to want to help me. So, dude, I totally get it. And I'm sure our audience, there's a lot of people out there who have this challenge as well, especially people with a message, something to share with the world, have had to come back from difficult odds and kind of being knocked down by life. And now they're coming back and they want to share it with more people. Oftentimes, there's a worthiness conversation about, well, who am I to share this? Who am I? How can I really make a difference with this? It's just, it's my story, but how do I actually make a difference? How do I actually impact people and leave them moved so that they take a new course of action?
Oh, and I fully agree with that, because we are our own worst critics. Yeah. And we also take ourselves for granted in so many different ways. Because you've got a message, I've got a message, the listeners out there and the viewers out there all have messages, and we may not think our message is all that important. Yet when somebody else looks at us and they look at us like, oh my gosh, you've taught me so much, but this is common sense. Right? Really? I taught you something? But the thing is, we are so knowledgeable on it, and to ourselves, we do not realize that another person may not have that knowledge.
Wow. Yeah. So that taking it for granted, why do you think we take things for granted, and how can we be more present to the information, to the wisdom that we have?
Well, I think that's just human nature, is that one of the things that happened to me in 2010, and I'm going to go through a physical transformation story, because you did not know me until later. And after going to the second life class, I said to myself, I have this huge level of integrity. When it's coming to these other people, I was in real estate, people are giving me cash, sometimes $5,000 to $10,000, in an afternoon, and they just met me and they're giving me cash to put down on a lease option down payment on a house. And once they're leaving the room and, they've signed a contract, they've given me, let's say, $5,000 and $100 bills. They signed a contract and they're leaving. The only thing that they left was with a telephone list and a receipt.
Wow.
No keys, no contract, nothing. Wow. And so to me, I had a huge integrity to those people, and I came off that way. But after taking that second level course, I learned something that I was not as integrated as I thought it was. And that was, I was in integrity with myself. Huh. And what that did for me was 2 weeks later, I did a volunteer staff for that same class, the first class that I took. And the instructor, we call him the facilitator, he was talking about a life transformation thing for him. And one of the things for me was I wanted to lose some weight. And I was 240 pounds back then.
Wow.
So yeah, most you wouldn't have recognized me. I show pictures of people. So me sitting next to a Hawaiian Samoan guy. I go, I'm not the Hawaiian guy. They said, well, which one are you? So what that did for me was, just that integrity with myself. It's when I said back then, it's like, if I'm going to work out, I was going to work out. My goal was to lose 70 pounds in 90 days.
Wow.
I didn't get the goal. I only made 60 pounds. I only lost 60 pounds in 90 days.
Dude.
And that was the life transformational for me, was because I was doing a system known as P90X at that time. And I said to myself, I'm doing this program. I'm going to do, the six exercises per week. I'm going to go on a very restrictive diet. And that's how I did it. Yeah. There was no surgery or anything, but it was, it was at that point saying, okay, once I'm committed to doing something, and once I'm saying I'm going to do it, my own self-integrity would say, you have to go do it. No, I know you work out a lot, but let's say I wasn't used to doing that. So if I was having to work out six times or 6 days a week, and usually that meant 8 or 9 workauts. Yeah. Because I would do a workout in the morning, P90X, and I'd go to the gym and run for a mile or two.
Wow.
So it was it was very thing. But the hardest thing was for me, because I was at that time when I was doing real estate, was I'm out in my car all day. I'm coming home. It's 9:30 at night, and I still haven't done my workout yet. Like, well, my integrity says I have to do my workout now. So I'd go into the spare bedroom that I was working out in, and I would do my 1 hour Tony Horton, whatever that workout for that day was. Yeah. So, and then if I knew the following day it was going to be difficult, I would have to get up at, like I say, at 6 o'clock in the morning so I could do my workout then, because I was going to be gone the rest of the day. So it was learning about being that integrity, because the person that we lie to the most is ourselves. And every time we say, I'm not going to eat a piece of chocolate, and then you eat a candy bar, or I'm going to stay away from carbs, and you go and have pasta or eat a sandwich, or whatever it is that you always say, I would not do this, and then you go do that. That's where you're losing that integrity with yourself. And that's where you start talking about the mirrors when you're looking at other people. And either they can be your motivator or they can be your demotivator. And I'm going off on a tangent here, but I remember hearing this one comedian, and he was on HBO, and this was before I moved to Vegas, so this was before 2004. And he was making a joke, but he got serious to a part of a joke. And this is, to me, it was what I think about when you say the mirror. He goes, when are other people's successes your failures? Let's say you and I are both actors, and we're going out for the same role, and say you got the part and I didn't get the part, and I look at you and say we're friends, and I look at you as like, God, that damn Chris. That was a success for you, and it would have been a failure for me. But what can I say? Well, way to go, Chris got the part. Amen. Sweet, and be genuine about that.
Wow. So you said it's how are other people's success? How are our failures other people's successes? Is that the language?
How are other people's successes our failures?
How are other people's? Okay.
Because if they're succeeding in something and we're not, let's say in business, you're doing, I can look at you saying, hey, you're doing a 12-hour podcast, which is phenomenal. You have 9 interviews in 1 week. You do it all in one day. And I'm like, I do 2 interviews a week, and those are an hour long. So you're doing 10 times, or not 10 times, 6 times as much as I'm doing. And
right. Well, I think it's also important to, like, we're talking a lot about reframing as well as perspective, right? Mirroring. When we have a mirror, we get to see new perspective. So how are other people's successes our failures? We can also look at that as how are our failures other people's successes? If we change it around, like how is our misstep someone else's wisdom? How is our not quite there? How can that be a gift for someone else? And I think we're also talking about our message, people sharing their message. And when people have a failure, or they went through a really challenging time, or got beat up, and life knocked them down, sharing that with people is also a really, really transformational spot to stand in, especially with regards to integrity. Because if we have integrity with ourself and our self-image, then we could say, well, I wasn't in integrity with that, and I was like beating myself up. I was really guilty, really shaming myself. And now I want to change that story. I want to make a difference for other people. So here's the new story that is within integrity of who I say I am and who I want to show up as in the world, and who I am as like a soul, a spirit, an essence, a source, which is like whole, perfect, and complete, and someone who's able to really help people and make a difference. So how do I transform that failure and that story about all the guilt and the shame into something that propels me forward?
Well, I would say because all of us has failures, and I've said this quite frequently. We learn more from our failures than our successes if we're open-minded to it. That's the key there, because a lot of times when we have failures, we don't look at this. We don't look at what are the good possibilities that came out of that. We beat ourselves up and focus on. It's like people that have a problem. It's like, well, okay, you got a problem. Stop talking about the problem. Let's focus on the solution now.
Yep.
Enough about the problem.
Yep.
And I mean, I talk to people like that all the time. Like, okay, we've been talking for 45 minutes here. You're still talking about the problem. How can we, and then, so that problem, let's equate that problem as a failure. Now it's like, okay, if I were to look at this from another angle, let's look at this from the other client's angle. What was the wins? What were the pros? What was the cons? What were the wins? What were the losses? And then, just like with Edison doing the light bulb, okay, what can I do differently now? What tweak can I do? When he was doing the incandescent light bulb, so okay, that filament didn't work. Well, just try this other one. And so if a solution didn't work for you, or the results wasn't the results you wanted, then yes, you just have to look at it from how can I tweak it differently, or who can I learn from? Who can I turn to educate myself? Just like myself, learning how. My big issue right now is learning WooCommerce and integrating it with MailChimp, and how to get mailing lists to go from different products that people buy. They go in different mailing lists. I've been spending 2 days on this right now.
Yes.
However, I'm meeting somebody later this afternoon. They say, you know what? Instead of trying to keep watching these YouTube videos, why don't I just go to get help from somebody else? Because once they show me the way, then I can become better at that stuff.
Right.
So,
shortcut your learning curve.
Well, exactly. I mean, granted that there are other shortcuts I could do. Like, number one, I just hire somebody.
Yeah.
Go to Fiverr and hire somebody to go do it.
Yep.
Or, but the thing is, I want to be able to learn it myself. I want to be able to, if I create new products, I could do this. But it's, it could be frustrating. But every once in a while, you just got to stand back and say, like, breathe. I think you were talking about that right before I was coming on the show. So just sit back and breathe, let it sink in, and just like, okay, how can I be different? And you ask your subconscious mind that, literally. I like doing yoga, and sometimes when I have big decisions I need to go concentrate on, I close the computer, I leave the house, I go to a yoga class, and while I'm in there, especially at the very beginning, right before as the class is about to begin, I start thinking, what is my intention for the class? That's what they always ask. That's what the yoga instructor always asks, and I always say, okay, what is my intention? Because I want to get the solution to this problem, or this situation, or this challenge. And just allow in that case, allow the universe to answer you. Yeah. I mean, I honestly believe that we all know all of our own answers. We just aren't asking the right questions, or we're not even asking the question.
Wow.
Wow.
So
I don't know. That would have went off on a tangent. I think
it's perfect. It's perfect. I was going to say, how do we really keep moving forward in spite of the failures? How do we ask ourselves those better questions? How do we stay on track? Do you have any suggestions or routines, exercises, disciplines, rituals, anything like that?
I mean, there's a few different things that I go through with my coaching clients, and it all depends on the situation with what they're going through. One of the things I do is I keep it right here at my desk. I don't know if you ever seen anything like this, but this is a finger pendulum. Have you ever? I don't know if I got this out of a NLP class.
Wow.
So I just put it on the tip of my finger.
That's
I stop
awesome.
it.
Yeah.
And then I'll start asking the pendulum questions. So I say, like, for example, I'll say, show me a yes response. And you can see it's going back and forth right now.
Right.
Show me amplify. Then I'll say, I'll stop it. and I'll ask it for a no response.
Right.
Usually my yes response is a counterclockwise, and my no response is it goes back and forth like that.
Wow.
So sometimes when I ask the question, I have to ask it to amplify because I can't tell if it's a small circle or if it's going straight back and forth.
Right.
And that's one of the ways that I talk to my clients about doing something like that. Is you can do it with any necklace with a weight on it. It doesn't matter what it is. Another thing is the exact same thing could be done. It's called body testing. When you're holding your arm out and somebody asks you to tell you the lie, and your arm will go down, and you may not know the actual answer, but your body knows the answer. Another way of doing the exact same technique is something that what I call free writing. I think that might be what they mostly call it. It's when you actually sit in a quiet room, turn off your cell phone, turn off your computers, get rid of all your distractions, and you get a notebook of paper and start. And I write down G equals God, or G equals the higher being, G equals my inner self, whatever it is. Then K equals Kevin, and I'll start with a K colon, and I write out a question, and then let my subconscious mind just without any filter just answer it.
Wow.
And I did that once about 2 months ago, and I never thought about doing this before. I know this is kind of woo-woo, but this is what I do. Is I asked myself while writing it on the sheet of papers, I asked God for whatever that thing is, and it says, "Are you the same person that's controlling the pendulum?" And it said yes. Like, oh, okay. So I thought it was like, is the person doing this and the person doing the free writing, is it the same entity? And because it's like, it could be something different, but my answer to myself was that it was the same. It's my inner self asked God, that's doing that. Now, of course, you can't tell the future, but you can get to know, like, am I destined, or should I be starting my own business? Yes. Okay. In what area? And then you just go through a sequence of questions. That's how this whole coaching business got started, was because of that exercise.
Wow.
And I would even go a bit further. I don't know if we were taking the same class, but I took a class with a lady by the name of Lisa Sosovich, which I met her through Peak Potentials, through a class called Gorilla Business School. That's how I got a program. 3 days after her class ended, I was going to Peak Potentials, train the trainer. So I was doing the exercise that I was in that class, and it said to help people in their relationships, which now is transformed more into businesses. Right. And I looked at the classroom. I said, wow, there's a lot of women in this class, 90% women out of maybe 500 people, maybe 95% women in this class. And all of these women were helping to empower women. Or a lot of them were, not all of them, but a lot of them were. And there was only like one guy that was there to empower men. Wow. I said, okay, well, so that's when I'm doing the exercise. I was thinking about that. Train the trainer actually flipped it, and it said, I'm more in line with helping women. So I'm going to pick a gender. It'll be women than men. I mean, I do both, but that started my whole road of Understanding Women Today, which was the initial name of my company. And then a year later, I changed it to Plentiful Perspectives, as I was helping more people on the business side rather than the interpersonal relationship side. Wow. So that's my story. So it all started with free writing.
Wow, man. That's incredible. So how did you have to break through things to learn to trust yourself and trust your intuition?
I don't think so, because I know I go against my intuition a lot, and it usually doesn't work out. It's like, you see, if your gut says you should do this, you should do this. No, I'm not going to do it. Like, damn it, I should have done that. So I should trust my intuition or gut feelings more, because I know it's there to in alignment with me. So I am more prone to go, if something says, go do this, and I say, no, I don't know, just go do it, because there's a reason that that your body's reacted that way. Just like you said with the mirror, you just attracted something into your life. How dedicated are you to getting it? So just go for it. You have to.
Wow.
Now, I mean, one of the stories I always like to equate things to is before I moved to Las Vegas, I lived in a town called Wilmington, North Carolina. I lived there for 4 years. Now, Wilmington is a coastal city. It also has a huge independent film. A lot of independent films are done there. They have a Screen Gems studio, so they do have, a movie. It is a movie town. Mm-hmm. And what I used to do back then was I worked on a lot of independent films and some plays where I was the either stunt person, the stunt performer. Sometimes I was the stunt coordinator, the stunt safety, or on stage it's called the fight choreographer. Mm-hmm. And I equate things to this like, okay, when you're afraid of doing something, that's just keeping you noticed or keeping you aware and keen is. You have to take that action. So I look at things as if I see something's going on, do I want to do it? Do I don't want to do it? I go back to my stunt days, and let's say I'm about to jump out of a 6-story window into an airbag. Mm-hmm. I know the FX guys. He's going to break the glass as I'm coming up there, so the glass won't slop it down, and I have to turn around and land on the bag. Mm-hmm. And I'm scared. Scared like crazy to do it, and it's like I don't know, I want to do it, and then the director goes, "Okay, roll camera and action."
Yep,
you got to go.
Yeah, no choice.
So I look at it sometimes for that perspective, it's like, okay, God, I don't know. Then I say, okay, just say action. Like, okay, I got to go. That's my scene.
Wow. So you said you were a stunt coordinator, stunt double, or what?
Stunt performer, because we didn't do big things. Mm-hmm. I've been on fire. I've done some car stuff. I've fallen off horses, fallen down stairs. Mm-hmm. I've actually even. I was even thinking about coming up with a Toastmasters talk on how to hang yourself safely. And I would like to actually show, do this as a demo. Just walk up on stage, throw a noose around my neck, throw it around a wood
bar,
crank,
crossbar,
some kind of bar, and just stand on a chair and say, and then jump off, twitch a little bit, and then give my talk as I'm swinging. So.
It's like you should title the speech "You Won't Believe What Happens Next."
So, but the thing is, those days is doing the stunt work. I was faced with fear every day, every time we were on set, and even if I'm not performing, I was choreographing or coordinating or doing as the stunt safety. And the stunt safety is basically your second stunt coordinator is basically what that is. It's not only me; it's also is the person that's doing the stunt. Are they going to be okay? Is it relatively safe, even though it looks risky, or is it going to be what the director is wanting? So, there was one time we were put together. We were coming into this room, and the director wanted something very simple. This beautiful staircase inside of an old courthouse back in Wilmington. And he wanted the actor to come in, and there's a couple of heavy guards that were going to kind of stop him. He was going to fight, knock him down, and run up the stairs. And I looked at that staircase, and I go, "Oh my gosh, that's a beautiful staircase! I've never seen such a beautiful staircase." Okay, somebody's got to fall down the stairs. That has to be. And it's one of those ones that goes up. It's wooden with the heavy carpet, built in the early 1900s. Going up, goes to a platform, and then 2 more staircases going up to the next level. And I looked at that as looked at this as this is not in the script at all. He just said there's just a fight at the staircase. I said, you know what? I'm the stunt coordinator. I'm going to be thrown over the railing. And so I want that to happen. I was walking up the stairs, and then I looked at the other staircase and said, okay, I cannot be at the top because I won't clear the other stairs. Right. So I went down as I went as high as I could go so that I knew my feet wouldn't hit the thing. I did actually leave a footprint on the on the roof, on the ceiling. Oh my gosh. But it was, it was scary, but it was also, the director ended up loving it. So I was like, because we had 3 stunt people now instead of just 2, and it showed him doing something, showing the actor, the lead, making him look better because of
Yeah.
So,
what was your favorite part about doing all those stunts?
doing what I loved about doing stunts is that every day could be something different, especially on low budget films, because that same film, it was a vigilante cop film, is what it was. And then another film I worked on, because that scene was at a different time, but we were doing some other scenes outside where one of the 4 vigilante cops was shooting people, and I got all the extras and got them all padded up as best as I could with only 2 sets of gear to go, 2 sets of pads to go amongst 8 people. So I was like, okay, you got an elbow pad, you got to go this way. You got this pad, you got to go this way. So you got to follow where your pad is. Yep. And that was funny because when we were shooting that scene in Wilmington, 1 week prior or just 3 days prior, I was in South Carolina doing a Civil War film. So a lot of times when people are doing films, unless they're heavy action based, it's going to take 2, 3, maybe even 4 months to film that film. So if you're an actor, if you're a production person on that set, you're there the entire 4 months. Wow. If you're one of the leads or one of the major speaking roles, you're going to be there for the most part of those 4 months. Yeah. If you're stunts, you're there for 3 days. Wow. And you go to another film. So doing a Civil War film, one day, on a weekend, and 3 days later working on a modern time vigilante film, that's phenomenal. There's nothing else like that. It's just coming up with those things, and you're getting paid to have fun.
Yeah, I love it. Yes. So, Kevin, how else have you learned from, or how else can we learn from, our audience learn from, those mistakes and those learning lessons, those failures in life? What else can we do to transmute failures and challenges into momentum, into progress, into growth?
Well, there's a number of ways. Like we already talked about doing the reframing. That's a beautiful way. That's the NLP technique anyways, is to you look at something and like, okay, now put it into a different picture frame. Now what does it look like? So I would say when you're having those challenges, when you're having those failures, number one, look at other people that have similar results that you want to have, and start trying to emulate and copy them, or even talk to them, or even hire them as a mentor or a coach. And another thing is, don't get I know you're going to get discouraged, and this is a trite saying by saying don't get discouraged, but you will, is stay in that little, we could curse on here, right? Yep. I don't know what else to call it. So stay in that little shit room, it's as short of a time as possible. Because it's not going to be productive by focusing just on the problem. You have to start looking at what are the solutions around that. Just like with this thing with the WooCommerce and MailChimp thing, it's like, God, I can't figure this out. It's like, well, don't I just start calling people that know that do this, or I put it out on Facebook? Hey, this is a shout out. Does anybody know how to do this? If you can, just give me a call, or let's meet for lunch, and I'll buy you lunch, or just to get this thing. There's always a solution.
Yeah. You know what I've heard it said. Throw the biggest pity party you can for 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, 4 hours, whatever, a day if you need it, but then get your ass back in gear and get back out on the field.
Absolutely. Yeah, because it is human nature. You want to have that pity party. So go ahead and acknowledge it, but get out of it as quickly as you can.
Yep. That's right. So, in terms of being directed towards a vision or a goal or a destination or a dream, what have you found really worked for you to stay focused and to stay on track and to keep moving forward towards your dreams and towards your own vision, or that you help your clients do?
Well, number one, you have to celebrate your wins, even if it's just to stand up and go, "Yay, I did it!" Just celebrate that win. Get those hormones going through your body, those feel-good hormones. That way, at least you're feeling something from it. If you could celebrate, even if you got a bigger win, go get a massage. Go do something that you don't normally do. And other ways that I am keeping focused, in all honesty, I just discovered this thing called binaural beats.
Yes.
And I mean, I was listening to it right before, I mean, for the last week and a half during the day, I have it going on. I usually go, unless I'm on the phone or on a call, because I don't want the background noise. I often will have it on, I turn it on an 8 or 9 hour one when I get ready to go to sleep. So that way, if my subconscious does, mine is being activated. And these binaural beats, I mean, they're going to be for motivation. They're going to be for inspiration. They're going to be these different, and all it is like music. Sometimes it has a little thumb background, I think. So it's been very helpful for me. So.
Dude, I love binaural beats, and I don't know if you know the science behind it, but it's basically synchronizing the hemispheres, the left and right hemispheres, or getting them into a certain brain pattern, and there's various different brain patterns that we can put ourselves in, and something like, I believe it's beta, is one where we're active, we're productive, we're thinking, we're like crunching numbers, it's awake, it's alert. That beta is where we can be, but we don't want to stay there all the time because our brain will eventually burn out. That's why we go into like the theta, which is like, I think right between wakefulness and sleep. So it's like that in between of relaxation, a deep state of relaxation. Then we can go into delta, and that's like the real deep sleep, and that's where we're really relaxed. So depending on what mood we want to be in, we can be in one of those, and there's a couple other ones as well, but those are the ones that I primarily think of. I go into theta when I'm writing and journaling so I can be as relaxed as possible, because when you journal, when you listen to affirmations, when you do the subconscious work, you want to be as tapped into that subconscious as you possibly can, and you don't want your conscious mind to be interfering with the programming that you're attempting to do. That's why hypnosis gets you into a super relaxed state. And that hypnosis is really great to program ourselves with subconscious patterns. And I love binaural beats, and isochronic tones is another one which doesn't need the headphones. Isochronic tones is like more of a pulse. It's a pulse generator versus the binaural beats is like two sine waves going on at different frequencies on each side of our brain. Really cool stuff.
Okay. Well, actually, I have it on the TV on YouTube, and then it's on my TV, so it's on the other side of the room. But I found that just from what I've been doing for the last 2 weeks, I mean, I've made some great advancements in my business just because I'm getting credit. It's like yesterday, I wrote a 20-page PDF that's going to be a lead magnet as a giveaway for my How to Become a Self-Published Author.
Good job, man.
So I mean, and it took a few hours, but the working title is 10 Critical Mistakes Self-Publishers Make, and then the subtitle is "And How to Avoid Making Them Yourself."
I love it, man. So, cool. So, any other like really big shortcuts or hacks, life hacks, things that you've used to stay on track, to stay optimal state, mind, body, spirit? You just find that yourself is you keep using, you keep leaning on, you teach to your clients, anything like that?
Well, yes. I mean, like the meditations, which is can also be yoga. I would say the meditation and just quieting the mind and just being. I mean, personally, I like what do they call it? The meditations were the guided meditations, because I like those. I mean, meditation could just be you sitting down and being with nature, being outside, or even on the carpeting on your floor, and just being. But I'd like the guided ones. I like to be instructed going through it. So that's a big one for me. It's because the reason that becomes so important is because the mind itself cannot be active all the time. You have to take breaks, and it has been, I know it's been scientifically proven that if you take like a 10-minute break every hour, you'll get more done in a 5-hour time frame than just doing it, not trying to knock it out in 5 hours, because your brain just it needs that downtime. I mean, was it Einstein or is it one of Edison or one of those used to take all kinds of power naps all the time, and that he said that was one of the things that really helped. And this is like a 15-minute, go lay down for 15 minutes. Right. But if you don't have that ability, doing some kind of meditation, like you said, maybe put on some headphones, close the door to your office, go to YouTube and look for a guided meditation on there, or buy one online, or whatever it is, and just listen to it a couple of times a day.
So I'm curious, how has surrounding yourself with knowledgeable people, wise people, leaders, influencers, how has that shaped your journey, Kevin?
It's one of the most important things to have. I mean, right now, I just recently took on my second accountability partner.
Nice.
And we've been her and I've been going back and forth with each other for about a little more than a month now. And if it wasn't for her, oh my gosh, there's so many things I don't think I would have accomplished in the last month. So, and I've been there for her as well. So right now, we talked yesterday, and she's already done one of the two things that she says she's going to do in the next 24 or so hours. And I wrote the book, the PDF book last night, because she told us this. Okay, I'm going to have it done. I'm going to have it done before I go to bed at night. I'll text you when it's done.
Wow.
But if I didn't have that, surrounding myself with other people on the same journey, or even better yet, surrounding yourself with people that have that they could be almost like your mentor, or you're the mentee, and you can learn so much from those people. And I know for me, because I've been a mentor as well, I learn a lot by guiding other people. I mean, back in college, I used to conduct study classes. So let's say we're taking a class in differential equations or partial differential equations, and we're going into this. Okay, this is how you do this partial form of d by dx, d by dy, d by dc. You're doing all of these different things, and I'm teaching it to the other people because I'm learning it. We're going to homework assignments. By practice and learning it. And sometimes the funny thing is I learned more by teaching other people, because I had to teach them. They didn't understand the one way that the book was doing it, so we have to explain it from a different angle. And now I'm learning it so much better. So being a mentee, obviously you're going to learn. Being a mentor, teaching the mentee is also a learning process. So don't be afraid. The reason I'm saying that, don't be afraid to go to other people that are a bit more successful to you in a certain area, and be willing to be coached, and being open-minded to being coached. So I love being around. I mean, I've been doing a lot of networking events recently, and even on the podcast. I mean, you could probably attest to this. Having your own show, you get to meet all these interesting people that you never would have met to begin with. And sometimes some of those foster into new relationships, longer lasting relationships, rather than just, hey, we just saw each other for an hour. Bye. Okay, have a good day. Right. Have a good life.
Right. Yeah, you can really tell who you vibe with, whose energy you resonate with, and who, like, you just click and you just want to keep having conversations, and you want to reach out, you want to check in, they want to check in with you, and it's awesome when we find those relationships.
Well, there's one lady that I just met. She was on my show. Her name is Maxine, and she's having her book launch this Friday. Wow. So I'm so anxious to go. We connected really well on the show. We haven't met up yet, like we said we would, like for coffee. But she's got this big book launch coming out on Fridays. Like I so much want to go to that, not because of the book itself, but it's because this is a big moment in her life. Right. I mean, she's been doing Facebook Lives like 3 times a day now. Talking about her lunch.
Yep, I love it. So, Kevin, we're beginning to wrap up now, and we want to know, what are the final takeaways, the final points that we want our audience to have, and what's the new reality that they get to step into, that we are inviting them into because of this interview?
Well, the first thing is, if you've got a business idea, if you really want to get started with something, go out and do it. I mean, if you've got a natural knack for it, a natural talent for it, like Chris being very social, very very energized. The thing is, if you have to share that with the world, because if you do not, to me, that's the biggest take that you could ever do, is how many people could you have helped if you would have gotten started with whatever it is that you're interested in. Let's say if you're a nutritionist, if you change one person's dietary style, and let's say you're getting paid for it, and they end up having a healthier life, then maybe they're having children. It's that whole spider effect of, you can make a difference, and you do make a difference. You just have to take action on it. And the second thing is find somebody that you can learn from. You can either hire somebody like me as a business coach, find a mentor, find another business coach, find somebody that's an expert in your field that you want to learn from, and copy them or get advice from them. And I don't know what the other question was, but that's that's what came to mind.
Beautiful. That's perfect, man. Perfect. So, Kevin, how do people stay connected with you, and what do you want them to do next?
How they can stay connected to me is they can go to my website, and that's at www.kevinadunlap.com. Mm-hmm. And if you were to go onto there, go under the shop, and because one of the things I'll be offering to you, and I just created this a couple of days ago when I knew I was going to be on the show. If they go into the 30-minute consultation section, because it's normally $195, I'm giving it a discount for $95. But if you put in the coupon code consult, followed by the 0, that will actually be a free consultation call.
Wow!
So I'll be running that for probably until the end of the month, until the end of February, for about another 2 weeks. So if you go to shop for the 30-minute strategy session and put in consult 0, awesome. That will be for free. And also I would say, I know Chris has got a great show under the media tab on that same website under podcast season 2. You will see all of the shows. Chris will be on there probably in early March. Cool. That's when his show is going to be released. Way to go. And in all honesty, take some action. Take an action step today. If that even means to do a free writing exercise, because it costs you nothing but maybe 20 minutes of your time. Just sit down with yourself, no distractions, and write. Start asking yourself those deep questions. What should I be doing next with my life? And I think you'll be surprised, very happily surprised on the results that you get from that.
Wow. Amazing. Amazing, Kevin. Love it. I love it. So, ladies and gentlemen, take action. Go to kevinadunlap.com, and you heard the man. He is available for you. Use that code under the shop, consult 0, and you'll get that before the end of February. Awesome. Kevin, you're the man. Thank you so much for adding so much value to our audience today and sharing about your life, your journey, Stunt Dublin. It was awesome, man. You did a lot of cool stuff, and thank you for your wisdom, man. We appreciate you.
Oh, my pleasure. It was great being here.
Awesome, man. We will see you soon, okay?
Okay. Thanks, Chris. Bye.
Okay.